Hello and welcome to Frank's School. I'm still going on with my conversation, downloading from my brain the result of this 4-hour interview I had with Peter Quintrans on the plane. Some corrections about what I said yesterday. When you're splitting granite, the head grain and the grain and the head grain, they make 90 degrees, not 45-degree angles. I said 45, I think. Another thing, a star drill. This is a star drill that I had. I've got several. That's what you pounded endlessly, and I guess I can imagine how a blacksmith would keep it sharp. I did want to mention though that iron meets rock. You know, before the Romans that wasn't the case. They didn't really have iron tools, and all this cutting of granite depended on iron, at least as I understand it. In the videos that I show you of the whole trip, on two occasions we saw Celtic villages that have been restored to some extent, and that was not cut stone. I don't believe I saw any cut stone there. That was rubble, masonries. Okay, anyway, no sawmill. I asked them about that. I said, what about a sawmill? Did your village have a sawmill? And he said, no. If they had needed a board, they sawed it. And I said, sawed it? You mean by hand? He says, yeah. Well, probably they did a lot of splitting. If you had to do much sawing of things, you would, long ways, I think you would tend to split it. But in any case, yes, he remembered 2 men sawing out boards. I've seen that. I saw that in Africa done. But, oh, man. Now, he said it was pine. That helps, but he said they also had oak. Well, the crops. They plowed. They plowed with 2 cows, and that was what pulled their plow, the same 2 cows, that team. It seemed like it worked just about all the time. Must have been a fairly close relationship, to tell you the truth, between those cows and the farmers, or the family. They plowed, and they used a spike-toothed harrow to smooth the ground. And hoe. He said they hoed endlessly. You see, the soil is good. It's good soil there, and where in part of Portugal there's plenty of water. Now I think where he was, the water sometimes would become an issue, but it was good soil. I picked some of it up. It was black, but sandy as well. So it's probably pretty easy to work. And plowed every year for maybe 2,000 years. I don't know. You know, it's one of those cases of farmers of 40 centuries. It was a book about Chinese farming. Well, you know, it goes back that far, I think, in some of those Quintrans as well. Well, maybe not 40 centuries, but 20 to the Romans, or further. And since it was good soil, he said that weeds would be coming all the time too, and so they hoed endlessly. They hoed. Now, one of the reasons that I think that water might have been a problem was because, now he used this word regos. He said they would tap into the river. Each year they'd do it new, and they would dig these regos to bring water to the fields. Each year new, and I think that's maybe because in the winter the prise d'eau, I call them, were ripped out maybe. But he said they dig them newly each year, and he mentioned that there was some water stealing. You had a right to the water for a certain amount of time. But sometimes in the middle of the night, he said, people would steal water. Well, this was a village where he gave me the impression there was just never any problem with the police or law. The priest just solved any squabbles that they had, because I asked him about that. But over water, there seemed to be an issue. And I know that historically that has been an issue. The water courts in Valencia, Spain, have been written about. I mean, that was, and they still meet, I think. They had dried milk from charity, if I understood him correctly, powdered milk. They were poor. Potatoes, every meal, he said, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They ate potatoes all the time. Every way you could cook potatoes, they cooked potatoes. And you know, I think about that as a New World crop. And the Irish potato famine. I mean, potatoes are a very, very important crop worldwide. They affected history. And in Ireland, that disastrous potato famine. Well, elsewhere in the course I've talked about it, and I wonder if that ever struck in Portugal when it got so dependent upon potatoes. But it seems like that's almost that. Corn, another New World crop, and wheat. He didn't remember any barley, wheat. Well, before the New World was discovered by the Europeans, potatoes and corn were not available, so it was wheat. And you know, that I'm sure profoundly changed that economy. Every kind of bean. He said they grew every kind of bean there was known to man. And I assume all the other vegetables. I didn't go through all the other vegetables. But the grapes around the outside, he said they didn't use them for wine. They didn't really have enough to use them for wine, so they ate the grapes. And wine they would buy, they would buy very cheap in a wooden keg. They'd go fill it. Green wine, he was saying he's not a wine person either, just like I'm not. But that wine was good, and I agree about the green wine. Cabbage they had year-round. He said in the winter they'd go out and just take the bottom leaf, not a head of cabbage, but the bottom leaves off cabbage plants and put it in the soup. I think I'm going to go on today with a second video about the house and the buildings. So come back.